Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in a very unique mathematical approach to the stock market where we analyze the market in three-dimensional space, and on top of that we've developed a number of very one-of-a-kind timing techniques that we apply to the market, and when we bring them together we can essentially predict the stock market or individual stocks with incredible accuracy. And we can typically do it on multiple time frames, whether it's long-term or short-term, doesn't really matter. We can often pinpoint the exact upcoming turning points. Now, I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you, of course, familiar with Jim. Now, today we're going to be looking at our latest fast mover. And if you're not familiar, fast movers are essentially stocks that will exhibit parameters of a very quick move within a relatively short period of time. We typically say those are the stocks that either appreciate or depreciate 50% or more within 12 months or less. Typically, on average, it's about 6 months that we're looking at. Okay, so this is very interesting. I think if you follow the stock market, you'll find it quite fascinating. So what you see on the chart here, let me just give you a little bit of a background about fast movers and how they work. So what you see on the stock market chart in front of you is these so-called triangles on top and the bottom, and these are the cycle cluster, not cycle clusters, cycles that we use in order to identify both tops and bottoms in our analytical work. So the top composites are responsible for the tops, and the bottom composites are responsible for the bottom. They're very similar to Hurst cycles, if you're familiar with that, but much more complicated, because what we found over the years is there are multiple composites running for both bottoms and multiple composites running for the tops. So for example, Dow Jones has at least 2 composites running for the tops and 2 composites running for the bottom. But if you know how they work and you can put them together, you can essentially very closely replicate this line. But this is where the fast mover concept comes in. So what we found over the years is that when there's a short period of time between a major top completion point and a major bottom completion point, or vice versa, it is between those 2 points that stocks typically move very quickly, either to the upside or they crash to the downside. So the chart you see here is crude light oil, and this is a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about, not only from this perspective but also from this perspective. These cycles have to be adjusted a little bit for the chart, but you get the point. So basically we had a major top here. As you can see, we had a major spike into this particular top, major completion point for the cycle. And then we had a major cycle bottom here. I believe it was 6 or 8 months later. And between these 2 points, the fast move originated and completed. So that's why we had this particular collapse here between the major cycle top and major cycle bottom. And it's very similar here, where we had a mid-cycle bottom and a mid-cycle top. So it ran up from the mid-cycle bottom to the mid-cycle top. So these are the equities essentially that have very clear upcoming turning points, and they indicate, because the time frame between those 2 periods is so small, they indicate that there's going to be a powerful and often very violent move in the stock. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens very often if certain conditions exist. And when those conditions are perfect, particularly when the time lines up with price for an important bottom or an important top, and then subsequently our multidimensional calculations confirm that yes, this is indeed going to be a turning point, that's when things get very interesting. So let's skip to today's stock. So what we're looking at is tech. Tech is bioteching, yeah. Or how do you pronounce it? Biotechne. Okay. I actually don't know anything about the stock from the fundamental or technical perspective, but for our work it doesn't necessarily apply, because all we're interested in is very important completion points in both time and price. And once we have those completion points, we can ascertain exactly what the stock is going to do next. Okay, so I kind of talked about these cycle composites before, And what we're looking for a major bottom, which is arriving right here. And then subsequently, we're looking for a major top. And of course, for the fast movers, we want the period of time between these two to be 12 months or less, because it is within that period of time that a major powerful move, typically violent move, typically occurs. And of course, we want to capture that that percentage move. So as you can see, just one last point I'm going to mention is the lines you see on the chart, because we do get a lot of new subscribers and a lot of people following our videos. So the charts, the lines you see on the chart are yet another of one of our timing tools, and basically they represent cycle clusters. So we have proprietary cycles that we've developed over the years, and we have the ability to scan the chart going back and pick out those cycles and project them into the future. So what we found over the years as well is that when any individual cycle arrives for any particular stock, typically there might be a turning point, short-term turning point here and there, but typically they're not very important. However, when there are a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time, for example, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cycles arriving at the same time, and particularly if those cycles are powerful, it is then when we typically have a very important turning point. So if we have 5, 6, 7, 8 cycles arriving on the same day, you rest assured that that is a major turning point, and that's when it's going to occur. Okay. So when we're looking at this particular cycle, it works very well with the April bottom that the stock had so far. Okay. So it is lining up, and then if we look at the cycle clusters, you will see that we have 8 cycles, 6 cycles, 5 cycles showing up around the same date, which clearly indicates that we are witnessing a very important bottom for the stock. Okay, and then subsequently, once this particular bottom is in, then the stock is anticipated to run up into this major cycle top, which is scheduled for let's click on it, September of 2026, so 1 year approximately. Okay, very interesting move if it develops. So the question becomes, well, where's the bottom, where's the top, and how far the stock is going to run? So let me show you exactly how we calculate that. So I mentioned on the previous chart that this particular bottom in April satisfies all of our mathematical requirements, and the fact that we hit into this particular green region confirms it. Okay, it's just a visual representation of some of our calculations, but basically what it says is that the stock has bottomed here and it is getting ready to run. So the question becomes, how far will it go? So remember those 2 dates, basically between April of this year, 2025, and September of 2026. A little bit over 12 months, but good enough for our particular exercise. So if you can take a look, these are their upside projections. So when we calculate it in 3-dimensional space, basically what the chart or what our calculations are saying is that the stock's going to run up from this low into this region at the very least. So 175 or 170, $175 from approximately $50 a share. You do the math within 12 months or approximately a 12-month period of time. Now, but it gets even better than that. The darker green regions indicate a higher probability hit occurring at those junctures. So, now we're looking at 220 approximately plus or minus a few dollars. So from 50 to into that range is a pretty good return on investment in our book. So this is how we find fast movers such as these. This is how we identify the bottoms, as well as the timing turning points. And of course, we are then able to calculate in 3-dimensional space what the stock is going to do after that said bottom is put in place and when it's going to occur. So in this particular case, in September of 2026. Now, the stock has already bottomed, and it's up to us to make a determination if we perhaps for a double bottom formation, or we take a position on, etc. And that's one of the things that we discuss in our inside our subscription service. If you would be interested in taking a look, this is just one of the stocks. We have these kind of fast movers we try to update at least once a week. We have quite a few of them, as well as our mega cap stocks, as well as the overall stock market, which is at a very important juncture as we speak. And I think you will find it quite interesting and very, very helpful, particularly if you are a serious investor. So we do have a 30-day free trial. All you have to do is ask for it. There's no strings attached, no credit cards, none of that stuff. Just send us an email. You'll see the description, or you'll see the link to that in description of this video. Obviously, subscribe to this channel. We'll try to pump out at least one video per day, whether we're looking at fast equities, whether we're looking at some of our mega cap stocks, overall stock market, or something that we call super equities, which is what we're going to be talking probably over the next, well, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We also have a link in the description of the video to a webinar that we have coming up. I believe it's on Tuesday of next week. I do encourage you to click on that and subscribe as well. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead, and we'll be back with another video tomorrow. Bye-bye.